Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name, talking about dealing with the problem of illegal immigration, which is front and center right now in America. And I want to suggest a Christian approach to immigration. We've talked about some of these concepts before, so some of this will be by way of review, but I want to, as compactly as I can, lay out for you what I believe a Christian approach to immigration is. Now, the evangelical immigration table, and there's a lot of people on this list whose names you will recognize. And so, you know, it gives me no pleasure to disagree with them because these are some of the most prominent names in evangelical circles. But I believe on the immigration issue, they are wrong. We have a difference of opinion here. Now, of course, they think I'm wrong, and that's the beauty of tolerance, is we can agree to disagree with each other and respect each other's right to have a difference of opinion. So that's what this is about. It's a principled disagreement among brothers in Christ who both care about this country. Now, again, you know, Matt entitled his speech, A Christian Approach to Immigration Reform, which I appreciate because it indicates that there could be other Christian approaches to immigration reform, and that's what I want to suggest for you. Now, the current law that we have on immigration is very clear that border trespassers have broken the law, and under the law, they are to be returned to their country of origin. That's the way current law reads. They are border trespassers, and the penalty provided in law is for them to be returned to their country of origin. Now, the evangelical immigration table, I believe, has a fundamentally self-contradictory approach here because on the one hand, they say that immigration reform has to respect the rule of law, quote, end quote. Everybody will talk about respecting the rule of law, but then you got to pull that apart. Okay, what exactly does that mean? How are they respecting the rule of law? What does it mean to respect the rule of law? And I suggest that when they turn around immediately in the very next breath and say we have to create a pathway to citizenship, they're contradicting themselves. You can't have a respect for the rule of law and then turn right around and guarantee lawbreakers the reward of American citizenship. So I think to reward lawbreakers, which is what our friends in the evangelical immigration table are doing, to reward them by guaranteeing them a path to citizenship that is not available to law keepers, makes a mockery out of the concept of justice and equality before the law, or equality under the law. So they're giving a reward to law breakers that is not available to law keepers. And that violates a fundamental concept of American jurisprudence, that is, we are all equal under the law. Now, these evangelicals are trying to pretend that it's not amnesty, but that's what it is. If you reward somebody rather than punishing them for breaking the law, that's amnesty. I don't care what kind of language you use. It doesn't matter to me how nuanced your language is, how much finesse you try to use in your language. It is still amnesty because it involves a reward for breaking the law. Now, they can talk about penalties and background checks all they want, but the fact is illegal aliens know they're catching a huge break here. A break that's being denied those who are waiting overseas. They know this is a huge break. That's why they're advocating for it. That's why they're agitating for it. I mean, if this was a meaningful deterrent, I mean, they want this. They want this change. They say, give us this policy. We don't care about the fines. We don't care about the penalties. We don't care about the waiting periods. Give this to us, because they know they're catching a huge, huge break there. This is just a form of amnesty. Because you think about it for a moment, the people that are overseas, they would be happy to pay the same amount of money that current illegals are going to have to pay under this program. Whatever it is, nobody specified that. Nobody will even talk about the numbers. We have no idea what these penalties is, what the fine would be. Nobody's put any kind of numbers to this. Without a hard number, I mean, that's going to get whittled down to zero by the time this thing is done. But the folks that are waiting overseas, they would be more than happy to pay that same penalty, that same fine, go through the same background check, go through the same waiting period if you would guarantee them citizenship in the United States. But that option is not available to them. Now, why? You talk about these people that are in the immigration line overseas. This option is not available to them. they don't have the option of paying some kind of a penalty, some kind of a fine, undergoing a background check, and being guaranteed citizenship. That option does not exist for them. Why? Because they haven't broken our immigration laws. So you see what I'm saying here? There is a benefit, there's an opportunity that is being granted to people simply because they have broken our immigration laws and gotten away with it long enough. So what we teach people overseas is that lawbreakers in America get rewards that law-abiding folk do not get. And I ask the question, what is remotely compassionate about that? Because we're going to hear a lot of talk about compassion, got to have compassion. I agree with that completely. But when it comes to, and I'll talk about that in a second, when it comes to the scriptural standard, the biblical standard of justice, the scriptures are very clear and unambiguous. According to Deuteronomy 25:1, the responsibility of judges, a judge is to acquit the innocent and condemn the guilty. That's the job of a judge. But if you acquit, even reward the guilty, then you have turned justice and the law upside down. And what I want to suggest to you is justice is not the opposite of compassion. It's the obverse side of the same coin. Same coin, other side. Justice on one side, compassion on the other. Justice is the way in which government shows compassion to the victims of lawbreakers. Let me repeat. Compassion is the obverse side of the same coin on which justice is found. The way in which government shows compassion is through justice, by granting justice to victims of lawbreakers. Now, you read a lot of the evangelical rhetoric about illegal immigration. By the way, if you want to join the conversation on this topic of illegal immigration, 888-589-8840, number to call, 888-589-8840. You know, I've read a lot of the rhetoric from evangelical leaders on this topic, and you never hear them talking about any sort of compassion for American citizens who are the victims of illegal immigration. There's no compassion for the enormous cost that illegal aliens are imposing on law-abiding American citizens, being imposed on them by people who have no legal right to be in this country. There's no word of compassion for those that are forced to foot the bill for medical services and welfare benefits that are paid out to people that are not entitled to them. And there's no compassion for people who live in cities that are being racked by the gang violence that's associated with the drug trade. Where is the compassion for the people that are living with the consequences of illegal immigration? You got hospitals all along our southern border. They've been closed because they've been overwhelmed, their emergency rooms overwhelmed with the cost of providing care for people who've trespassed on another country's sovereign soil. And I ask, where is either Christian compassion or justice in that? And then where's the compassion on the part of these folks for those that are waiting patiently overseas, that are filling out forms, that are paying the fees, they're waiting in line, while they watch Christians over here in the United States advocate people, lawbreakers, hopscotching ahead of them in line and being given instant legalization. So I say, where is the compassion in that for people that want to immigrate to America and are willing to play by the rules? Now, we have the most generous immigration system in the world. We legally admit 1.1 million immigrants to our shores every single year. Now, it's my contention that if we are going to be a nation that celebrates equality under the law, then everybody who wants legal status in the United States must play by the same rules by which everybody else plays. If you do that, that's unjust, and it's lacking in compassion for everyone who gets leapfrogged in the process. What this teaches people that are trying to immigrate by playing by the rules is that they're chumps. They're chumps for playing by the rules. And what they also learn is that the rule of law is meaningless in what is supposed to be a Christian nation. Now, remember what happened in the school cafeteria, elementary school. What happened if you tried to cut in line and you got busted? What happened to you? You got sent to the back of the line. You didn't get rewarded for that. You didn't get a guaranteed spot at the front of the line. Here, let me escort you, Johnny, to the front of the line so you could be the first one in line to get get a plate full of that sheetrock that Michelle Obama wants you to eat because it's healthy for you. No, you get sent to the back of the cafeteria line. Why is that happen? Because that is what is fair. Now, here's the approach I suggest for our immigration challenge. Number one, no guaranteed path to citizenship. I flatly disagree with that approach to immigration reform. If somebody wants to be a citizen of the United States, then they need to play by the same rules that everybody else plays by. Nobody gets to cut in line by breaking the rules. Number two, build a double-layer security fence all along the southern border. If we can send a rocket to Mars, we can build a double-layer security fence. Fences work. Good fences make good neighbors, always have, always will. Now, we do not lack the ability to do this. We lack only the will. Third, I would suggest that we use E-Verify. It's not perfect. Unless somebody comes up with a better system, it's the best we've got. Use E-Verify for employment, for welfare, and for education, for all three of them. So somebody wants a job, the employer's got to run their Social Security number through E-Verify. If they want to get welfare benefits, that number's got their Social Security number's got to be run through E-Verify. If they want to enroll their kid in school, that number's got to be run through E-Verify. Now, once illegals know that their status is going to be checked every single time they try to access taxpayer-funded resources, they're going to very quickly stop being a drain on those resources. And you won't need to round them up and deport them. And nobody's talking about that anyway. It's a total straw man because nobody's talking about trying to round up 12 million illegal aliens and deport them. Nobody's even talking about that. So it's a total straw man. But the reality is they will engage in self-repatriation. They will take themselves back home. Now, that happened in Alabama back in 2011. Alabama enacted meaningful immigration reform, which required this kind of verification of legal residency in a common sense way. And what happened is almost immediately illegal aliens repatriated en masse. I mean, schoolrooms emptied almost overnight. Hundreds of jobs opened up in local meatpacking plants, and those jobs were taken immediately by Americans who were hungry for work. Now, the Pledge of Allegiance says that America is a place where we celebrate justice for all, not just for those who obey the law. Full equality works every time it's tried. It'll work for immigration too. Focal Point AFR Talk.